Dude, you're pronouncing things so weird right now. You need to stop acting so erratic. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Xerath Prevails. We got another crash course video for you today, folks, and this is Starkiller vs. Ray in 3v3 because that's a pretty low win rate. I was surprised at how low the win rate was, and the original video that is going to be linked in the video description, go check it out. We're using some of the same slides and everything. You don't have to remod for it or anything. This is a pretty straightforward way of doing things, guys. So here you can see the original version of my thumbnail. I figured I'd show you guys. This is not quite as good as this. Not that either of them are wonderful, but are, I do spend time working on these things. And then here's the original crash course with Starkiller vs. Ray. That's for 5v5. Go check that out, like I said. And then also, guys, just shout out to my patrons. Thank you guys so much for all your support. Truly appreciate you guys. And guys, if you like videos like this, please hit the like button, subscribe, comment. Let me know that you like this sort of content. I would very much appreciate that sort of feedback. Now let's go into the checklist of how this particular counter works. So I'm using the same slides actually as the Starkiller vs. Ray video that I did originally for 5s, but it's the same principles because you're always going to be facing Ray with Ben. At least you need to assume that. If they don't have Ben, your life gets a lot easier actually. And you're using the same core 3, which is Emperor, Palpatine, Mara Jade, and Starkiller. And just remember, guys, so you need to get rid of the Inspired on Ray, which means you need to crit her, and you need to dispel her, because if you don't get rid of that Inspired, your team has a lot of turn meter gain on it. Like, you get so much that she gives her entire team a lot of mastery as long as she has Inspired on her. I always call it the blue stuff because I forget the word inspired. It's not an inspirational word apparently, but you guys can call it what you want. In this video I'm going to call it the blue stuff, and her whole team gets super boosted if you don't take out her damage immunity crit damage immunity initially, and then crit down to the point that she doesn't have any Inspired. You have to do that multiple times per fight, but it's something you need to be paying close attention to, or you can be in a lot of trouble. Now you want to get Ray into damage immunity, you get Ben into damage immunity, and then you want to, as a general rule, keep shock on everyone. You don't want Ben to take a single turn. In any of my videos, any of my fights last season, which I won every single one of, by the way, it's like well over 10 of those, so across 2 different accounts, Ben never takes a turn. That's one consistent thing. You don't want Ben to take a turn. You can control him pretty well if you have the right tools and you have the right modding. You want to get him into damage immunity, Ray into damage immunity, Ben, get everyone else there, keep shock on everyone. Just general principles, folks. So here's the modding, just real quick. Relic 7, you want some potency on him, and then lots of protection because of his second Zeta. You need both Zetas on him, and remember that he can, when he does his AoE stun, it steals all of the shock away from people, but it does 2-turn stun them, and Ray doesn't have a great way of dispelling unless there's Jedi Training Ray, which is probably the most dangerous version of Ray out there. But I'll show you guys how to do it. So you want potency for his secondaries, you want protection, and then you want some speed. You don't need a ton of speed because he's going to gain a lot of turn meter, and that's most of what he's doing. You want to abuse the protection as much as you can because you get a bunch of bonus protection from your Zeta. Now, Mara Jade, here's a Relic 5 version of her from... I don't use none of the, actually this is an outdated slide, I'm sorry to show it to you in a way, but just keep in mind that all of the videos that you're going to see are going to have Mara Jade at Relic 7, even if even if Palpatine's at Relic 5 sometimes, because I'm using my alt as an example. But you want potency on her. You really want as much potency as you can, guys, in secondaries. And your primary on the cross, she's not here to do damage, she's here to be crazy crazy fast. You don't need her to be quite as fast as 370, but I would recommend trying to get her as close to 365 as you can as a general rule, and then as much potency as you can. Those are the things that you really want. And then you can try for some hit points and stuff. Just keep in mind when she does her AoEs, she's gaining a ton of turn meter, as well as when debuffs are like go off of characters, she also gains a lot of turn meter that way. Now Star Killer, I have a Relic 5 version of it, but I'm not going to let you see that because I recommend well, you can look at it for a sec, but now Relic 8, if you can get him even to Relic 7, somewhere like that. Some of these videos have him Relic 7 because it's my middle account. I don't have him quite at Relic 8, but you want him. Remember, guys, every step over Relic 5, you gain about 1,000 offense just from giving him relics. It's a massive boost, very worthwhile. Things you have to keep in mind with Star Killer. First, you want as much offense as you can get. I know that with his ultimate, you're going to be tempted to put a lot of health on him instead. You don't want to do that. You want health, you do want a lot of health, but you don't want to sacrifice your offense. He does way more damage with offense. His mini ult, his Star Destroyer of Healing, as I call it, as you'll see why, it does more damage based on if he has a lot of extra health, so you do want health where you can get it. But offense, he's using his offense stat way more often everywhere else besides his ultimate, and his ultimate's not enough to kill a Galactic Legend, so it's not really worth supercharging. If you want to get him Relic 9, you get a nice little health boost. That's on you. I don't think I want to do it, but you can. And then, guys, I hate to break it to you, your life is going to be so much easier if you just give in and give him his second Omicron. You need his unique, of course, and that one is super nice. Remember, if someone is debuffed against Star Killer, they'll do half the damage they normally would. That includes like Malek. When he does his Force Drain, it does 100% of health. It only does 50% in that case if he's debuffed. And the AoE is so nice because it dispels all buffs in the AoE and it can't miss. Really, really helpful, as you guys will see. So you want offense as much as you can. Health, if you can get some good health, that's great. And then speed, sure, get him some speed because he doesn't gain as much turn meter as the rest of them. Have him try to keep up with Mara a little bit if you can. He's not going to be able to, but you don't want a really slow Star Killer. So let's get into the actual gameplay, shall we, folks? So we're going to go against my nemesis first, and this is Jedi Training Rey. The biggest reason that she is difficult to beat in this situation is that she can dispel Rey while she's in her ult, letting Rey, the Galactic Legend Rey, do full damage there. So oh yeah, one thing to keep in mind, guys, I do also have a full video clip of, I forget how long it is, it's well over half an hour of just fight after fight after fight of this comp versus Rey, various compositions of Rey that I did all last season, last 3v3. I have every single fight. I did not lose a single one. You can see all of them if you want. That's linked in the video description. You can check it out if you want. It's cool. It's pretty neat. It's unlisted, so you can you know, do what you want, I guess. I think I did enable like 1 or 2 ads. We'll see though if I decide to take it out. I don't know if I can. All right, guys. You start with Mara's bomb here because first off, it gets her into stealth, which is nice, and then it also puts shock on everyone that you can. Now, Jedi Training Rey, you have to just assume she's not going to hold any of the debuffs at all, which is fine. You really want shock to land on Ben and on Rey if you can, though. And then, okay, Jedi Training Rey, she goes and she dispels immediately. She calls Rey to assist and dispels that shock. You really need to, though, guys, get that back onto her as quickly as you can. You need debuffs on her, and you need to get rid of that blue stuff as quickly as you can. Now, she has foresight, so I'm gonna kind of ponder, okay, where should I go exactly here? And so I'm gonna do a basic because that calls Palpatine to assist, and then it calls Star Killer, gets rid of all of the foresight on people. Then we can do the AoE stun, so that's 2 turns of stun on Ben because he had shock, but notice that shock is gone now. Now we haven't done a crit to any of them yet because they have crit immunity still, because Jedi Training Rey is tough to deal with. So do the AoE, and it dispels all of them. And now we need to make sure to get rid of all of that inspired, all that blue stuff on Rey as quickly as we can, and then get her into damage immunity. Luckily, we managed it. And then now, okay, so I'm trying to figure out, you want to do the tire move. They call it throwing the entire tire. You want to do the tire move as much as you can with Starkiller because it boosts his ultimate charge, and it's kind of nice. So right now I'm kind of debating, okay, should I shoot Jedi Training Rey, or should I just try to shoot Ben and get him into damage immunity? And I'm going back and forth, and eventually I believe that, yeah, so we want to get him into damage immunity as quickly as we can, guys. So Rey's in damage immunity. She's gonna hit her ult here pretty soon. And okay, so but first she's like, oh, by the way, I thought you might like a quick whirlwind to the face. I'm like, yeah, actually, thanks, Rey. That's nice. One thing to keep in mind here too, guys, is once she's at this stage where no one has damage immunity, like we could kill Ben, we could kill Rey, then we can actually, if we wanted to, we could put Stagger on Rey with the AoE, and Stagger would actually work. As long as she's not inspired, Stagger works against her. So, anyways, we probably want to just use a basic to call a basic to kill her. And now we're going to play with our food a little bit to try to get our Star Destroyer of Healing. Remember that Star Destroyer of Healing can only be summoned if we, or the progress toward it can only be had if Starkiller does actual damage. So we're trying to play around so that he can get his full stacks, his full 100 stacks, and then we'll go. Hopefully we won't kill. Okay, she's in damage immunity now. Wonderful. And now he's gonna miss because of foresight, so it doesn't make any progress. And then Ben, hey, he's back. Remember, Ben comes back as long as he has allies still alive. Okay, we got our Star Destroyer of Healing. Get our full banners. Thank you very much. And we can move on to the next fight. Jedi Training Rey can be a huge pain. If you can control it well, then it works. You can do fine. Alright, so this is against Cal. This is the most common version of Rey by far last season. People thought it was going to be really effective against Starkiller, and it really wasn't, at least. Not to me. It was fairly easy, but if you want to see a clip of me butchering all kinds of Cal comps, that's great. Alright, so remember we get rid of all the debuffs, or all the buffs on them, and then we want to 2-turn stun them and keep shock on everyone if we can. She does a whirlwind to the face sometimes. I wish we had some way to put ability block on her, but we really don't. And so we were getting inspired off of her first, and then we're going to do the AoE to get Stagger on her so that she doesn't necessarily have to get into her ult. Her getting into ult isn't the end of the world, but it's kind of nice. See, we didn't land Stagger there. We just got unlucky, but she doesn't have high tenacity. We do have high potency. She has 15% chance to resist it. So that's fine. It just means she's going to get into her ult. Otherwise, we could have staggered her and made it so that she might not have actually been able to get into her ult. Now, I started working on getting Cal into damage immunity. We didn't quite make it there. We do have shock on Rey, and what we want to make sure we're doing as well, guys, is we don't want to do a lot of specials here against Cal. Like doing the AoE stun is wonderful because it's a 2-turn stun on him, but we don't want to do too many specials, even as I'm doing all of them, because we don't want Cal to get to that 25 number and wipe all the buffs or debuffs off of Rey before she does her ult. Remember, her ult is cut in half. Her damage is cut in half right now when she does her ult. So no one dies this time, thank goodness. And now we want to get rid of the blue stuff on Rey. We can't kill her yet until Ben is gone. So, alright, kill Ben. And then he comes back because we have our leader still alive. Kill Ben. Now we can shoot Rey. She has like 1 hit point left or something. We got her. And of course Ben comes back. But now we just want to play with our food until we get, yeah, there we go. Star Destroyer of Healing. But first, I guess let's do the AoE to get rid of all of the buffs on Cal. I don't really know. Either way, it's fine. Like, playing with our food is acceptable at this point. Notice that Ben has not taken a single turn this entire fight. and we don't ever want him to. We don't need him to. It's not a mandatory thing. All right, get a Star Destroyer of Healing here to get all of our health and protection all the way up to max, and now we can shoot Cal for the win. Now the next two are going to be the things that happen that it's like, okay, less than ideal circumstances occur, and I want to show you guys how we deal with it. So again, we have another Cal version, and then I think the next one is with Hoda, and that's going to be the end of it. Everything's going to be time stamped and everything. So okay, get rid of her, do the dispel with Mara, and get rid of the crit immunity on Ray, so you can start getting rid of the blue stuff. Then we can dispel all of the crit immunity with Star Killer there as well. There we go. Got her into damage immunity already. And if you have a fairly slow Ray, there's an issue, because sometimes she can cycle through and do 2 whirlwinds in a row, which will usually just kill your Emperor Palpatine. Okay, so get rid of the blue stuff again once she took her turn, and then start shooting Ben Solo once again. Now we can shoot the entire tire at him, which is fine. It'll get us more ultimate charge. And then Rey took another turn before her ultimate bar was all the way charged, which is a problem. I guess that's a mark of a fast Ray, not a slow Ray. But one Ray or another, we need to be careful here. Okay, so I did my AoE there, which I don't necessarily agree with, because we could have staggered her potentially. I mean, we did stagger her, but she has Inspired on her, so she's not going to drop her turn meter. I guess we can now we can just take her out, I guess. But one way or another, remember, if you kill Ben and you don't have your Palpatine lead, then it's still a lot of times okay, because Ben just dies at the very least. Like, he can't come back as long as you don't have a leader. Like, him coming back is contingent on your leader being alive, so you can just kill him at will, and then you can just finish off Cal. So all right, there we go. And then let's do one more, folks, before I let you go, and then you guys can watch the full video of this. It is about half an hour of me just butchering Rey's. But okay, yeah, so we're facing this Hoda version of the squad, and remember, I don't like it when people can dispel Rey. You don't want the debuffs to be dispelled. That's the only thing that keeps us alive, is her reduced amount of damage. So get rid of the crit immunity on her with the dispel AoE from Mara, but do the AoE shock first. Of course, you're not going to hit Hoda because of his special, or because of his unique. Though you can do the AoE here and get rid of his stealth, which is kind of fun. And then he gets back into it. He trains Rey, and now you see she doesn't have any Inspired on her, but she doesn't have any debuffs either. So let's make sure she gets a debuff. And oh darn, okay, who'd have saw that? Who'd have thought that would ever be here? So she does her AoE, hits Palpy, and as far as I know, I don't think you can ever survive two of her whirlwinds. Remember, his protection is way higher than his health level. So once his protection's gone, he's basically a husk of himself. He's very husky. So all right, we're getting her down all the way to like 0 health, and then she does her ult, so we can still crit her while she's in her ult. That's fine. Get rid of the blue stuff on her, and then make sure we want to reapply shock as much as we can. And then Hoda looks like he's in damage immunity, so that's pretty fancy of us to have gotten that to happen. Ben is out of his comfort zone, but also he didn't have shock on him, so we need to reapply shock. And oh man, okay, so Palp is gone, so if we can kill Ben, that's gonna be great. So do the AoE. She gains a lot of turn meter anyways. Make sure she just takes out Ben. So Ben is gone regardless. And okay, the whirlwind, we eat 1 whirlwind from Mara, with Mara, which is great. That's a Relic 9 Rey. All these are Relic 9s actually in this example. Get our Star Destroyer of Healing and pretend like we only dropped 3, like we just weren't able to get the Star Destroyer of Healing. So go watch the other clips. Some of them are maybe a little less flattering toward what I'm able, what I'm managing to do, but we get wins every single time, and maybe there are a couple of mistakes. You guys can spot them. Let me know. That being said, guys, thank you all so much for watching, and remember that in all things, Zareth prevails. Happy hunting.